Hello, everyone. I'm Caroline Schaefer, host of the ARRAYdio Podcast. My guest for this podcast is Claudia Zamora. Claudia has over 20 years experience in the area of mental, emotional, and spiritual awakening, healing, and transformation. Her passion is to assist those ready for deep healing find their way back to health and wellness. Claudia has always been fascinated by people's behaviors, and she uses her wisdom, compassion, and intuition to guide her clients back to wellness. Now, this interview took a little while and was broken up into 2 parts. So this is part 1, and part 2 will be out next week. Now it's time for Claudia Zamora. Claudia, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Carolina. How are you?
I love that so much. I'm doing well. So I'm really curious to where you're from originally and what brought you to North Carolina.
Well, I am originally from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I know it's a little rare because there's not too many Argentinians here in Fayetteville, but I love it here. I think this is a great place. And I've been here already for like 11 years now. It's been a while.
That is a long time. So what do you do in Fayetteville? And I know, because I know you were the February cover story for Hola magazine.
Right.
Fayetteville. So what is, I know you can't ask everything in one question, but what do you do? What is it that you do?
Okay, so some people know me because I got to be very engaged in the community. So I do many things. But one of the things that I love the most is to help people, and to help people through knowing themselves and empowerment, because I think that that's the key. And one of my abilities is to help people through that transformation process. So that's basically what I do. I use different methods, different techniques that I learned over the past 20 years of my life. But I guess if you have to set a timeline, I would say that I've been working for transformation all over.
So what led you to do that? Did you do something before and there was a kind of an epiphany moment where you said, this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life, or for this time in my life?
Well, understanding a little bit more about astrology and numerology and spiritual codes, I know that we all have some kind of life path. There is a life path. Now, of course, we have free will to choose how we're going to go about that. So if I have to say, all my entire life, I've been connected with the same path in different areas. At the beginning, we're talking back in the 80s. So we're going back in the 80s. I don't want to say my age, but
I remember
a long time ago. It was kind of like the beginning of an awareness. It started with just the awareness of, I want to change the world. That was back in the 80s. Okay, I want to change the world. Because you're young and, you have all this energy and this stamina and you really want to change the world. Mm-hmm. But through life, you understand that the best way to change the world is by changing yourself. Mm-hmm. And so obviously, that has been a great journey all along, but I did learn a lot of different methods, techniques. I studied different schools of thought, philosophies, and I got to really interact with people. And so I would say that most of my knowledge is empiric because I do get to experience with people. And so I think that there was some kind of path for me in the spiritual world. Now, I did some experience also in corporate. So back in that time, I was working in a very fancy corporate business job. And all of a sudden, it didn't make sense for me anymore. It just did not make sense anymore. And, I started resonating with my heart. And it was a big decision because I did have a very good job. But I was at a crossroads and I decided that I was going to go deeper into my spiritual path. And that's when I started going into Reiki. So, and from there, it was like a big door, because that was the very beginning of a bigger transformation for me. So it was right there where I started, going deeper and, and then learning many techniques that I used all along.
So for people who don't know what Reiki is, so I've had a Reiki session before, but I cannot explain it. And clearly you've had the training and the expertise. What is Reiki and how is it used in transformation?
Right. Well, Reiki is a Japanese technique that works with symbols and encodings and works with your energy. So we have a physical body, but we do have an energy body all around us. We have an aura. And so the energy body is key to physical body well-being. And so what Reiki does is a language that through symbols translates well-being into your whole body. And so to put it in perspective, I would say that through these encodings, through these symbols, you interact with your energy field and you unblock all the frequencies that do not belong. So basically, Reiki brings you to balance all the time. Okay. So when you have a Reiki session, you unblock what is not necessary, and then you allowed the flow of life, the normal energy that is all around us, to flow through you, but in a more aligned way. So that's what Reiki does, and it's very progressive. I mean, once you do one treatment, you will start working with all your chakras, and you will see a lot of differences after a treatment. So it's amazing. It's a good technique. It helps a lot of people, especially if you are going through stress, anxiety, and you need focus, and you need to be able to put yourself together, So Reiki puts yourself into that alignment that your energy flows right back in, and it's beautiful. And it's really, really a way of promoting health, overall.
Can anyone benefit from it? And does it matter necessarily what they've been through?
No, we have an electromagnetic field, and so Reiki interacts with that magnetic field, allowing your energy to flow better all through your meridians and your chakras. So when we are accessing Reiki, we work with the whole body, okay? Whether it's long distance, because there are people that just get it through long distance, or in person, you work with the whole map of your energy. And it doesn't matter if you are 1-year-old, 100-year-olds, if you are anywhere in the world, because it can also be done long distance. And you can actually perform Reiki in everything. Like you can perform Reiki on animals, you can perform Reiki on plants. Like if you have a plant that is kind of dying, well, you can align the energy of the plant. And plants are very, very sensitive. So they will immediately perceive that encoding and, and transform. So it works all the way. There are, hundreds of testimonies of people that had no clue, like, they didn't know what it was, but they felt the heat, because when you're doing Reiki, you feel kind of the energy coming through you. And it's beautiful, it's like amazing. It's really, really nice. I like to perform, but I also like to teach. So I'm also an instructor, and I love to teach and bring more people into the Reiki family, because I think the more the merrier. The more practitioners that we have in our town, the better our town will be, because the consciousness, you create this awareness that we're not just a body, that there's more to us. And, and through the initiation process, because the initiation is a big deal. Once you're initiated into Reiki, your whole energy connects through your pineal gland. So not only that you can perform to others and help others, but yourself becomes very aware. Like all of a sudden your intuition expands and you start seeing things, like you start seeing the world differently. You know, you are more aware of color vibration, electromagnetism, what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, and Reiki gives you a lot of other tools like protection and a lot of other tools to help you be more at your element, you know, and be aligned. It also works with the elementals. Like if you see, I have a star on my wall, and that star is representing the 5 elemental forces of Mother Nature. So water, earth, fire, earth, and ether. And so these 5 primordial forces, they interact with the human body. So basically that star represents the human body and the elementals flowing through you. And so it is wonderful to really be connected to Mother Nature, because Mother Nature has all the all the responses to our, you know, healing process. And so once we connect with Mother Nature, we become one. And so, you know, it's not just a physical thing. It's a mental, it's a spiritual, it's a connection with the heart. So once you're doing a Reiki treatment, there are many things playing around. It's different scenarios, not just your physical one. It's also your emotions, your thought. Everything processes through the energy. So it's a wonderful thing.
What kind of training did you have to go through, and how long, in order to perform Reiki and then also to be an instructor?
Right. Well, the Reiki has 3 levels of knowledge. So in the first level, you basically understand how Reiki works. You know, you understand who you are and how you interact with the energy. In the second level, you practice healing with others. It can be humans, plants, animals, you know, other things, even objects, because you can perform Reiki into objects. Let's say, for example, somebody passes away and leaves a coat, but it has that person's energy. Okay, and you want to keep the coat because it represents a memory to you. The best way to keep it is by doing Reiki, because you heal the person's that has passed away energy and you make it neutral. So that way there is nothing, you know, dark about that, or the energy is not in balance. And so you can perform Reiki into objects that you feel that the energy may not be, you know, neutral. So there are many ways to use the Reiki. So in the second level, you basically become a Reiki practitioner. And then the third level is if you decide to teach Reiki and pass it on. So the third level is the master, which you become attuned with all the different seals, because Reiki has different seals. And so you get all the initiation to perform Reiki, but also to bring others, you know, into Reiki. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful knowledge, because no matter, you know, what you do in your life, you can still use it. I've been teaching people all over the world with Reiki, and even soldiers. Like I work with a military family, you know, and a lot of soldiers that are going to Iraq or going to Korea, and they want to take the initiation because they know that they might use it, you know, for themselves and also with others. And so it is a wonderful tool, and it's also like a door, you know, like it was for me. It's a door that opens a path, a spiritual path. So yes.
Is there kind of a community of?
Yes. Well, I have initiated a lot of people here in this community, and I love my students. I love all of them, and I think they're great people, and they're gonna do the best. And I truly believe in them, and they are also initiating others. So it's a big family. And you know, again, some people may do it once they get their certification, and maybe people take some time to do it, it depends. But it's also something that works with you. So in the individual, you have to let it mature in you, So there's no time. Once you have the initiation, it can be, done any time of your life. But also, I think it has to do a lot with, how you see yourself as a person. Like if you are, I consider myself a little bit like a catalyst for change. So, I like to help people to change because I think that's part of my mission. But, there are many tools here in North Carolina. There are other instructors and they're all wonderful. Everybody in this community is amazing. So, yes.
I love that you're a part of that and that you're doing that. And like you said, the catalyst for something like that. And our community definitely needs that.
Yes, well, we started doing some gatherings about a year ago in the park, and we got to do some gatherings in the park on downtown. But then COVID came in, so we stopped doing that, and I hope that we can get back into doing these wonderful gatherings where we, not only do the Reiki, but we meditate as a community, we pray. And basically, we, just spread the light and put vibes, So hopefully we will get back onto that. But this community has a lot of potential. There's a lot of people learning. There's a lot of people learning techniques. I have a lot because I've been in this path for many, many years, But I'm always open to share my knowledge. I love sharing my knowledge. And I also like to see, the younger people coming into this. Like I have my own daughters, they both initiated in Reiki. Sometimes I see them, they have friends and they talk about the Reiki and they get all excited. And not only Reiki, like they're into tarot cards, they're into, the youngers are really picking up on tools for transformation. And I think that's the way. That's wonderful in the Aquarius era.
Thank you for joining me for part 1 of my interview with Claudia Zamora. Remember, the mission of the ARRAYdio Podcast is to connect our community through conversations. All the information shared here is property of Array Publishing and Marketing, LLC. Always positive, always affordable. We'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share this podcast with all your friends. We'll see you for part 2 with Claudia Zamora next week.